We know you like talking Star Wars. We like talking Star Wars. So that's exactly what we're going to do. This is The Wars and More.
All right, so we're about 2 weeks out of Celebration now, and not really surprising, we are still going to be talking about everything that went on there. This is The Wars and More. I'm Joe, and of course with me is my good buddy Doug. Hey Doug, how you doing this week?
Doing pretty good, Joe. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. I mean, I'm still living high, man.
Absolutely.
I said I was coming down last week, and it turns out like that whole come down curve is pretty long.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty long. So,
well, we definitely got a lot of stuff to sink our teeth into. That's for sure.
Yeah, and I'm still dissecting everything that I didn't get to, like all the panels and everything I didn't get to go see.
Right.
So I'm still diving into all that. There is so much material.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, this live stream thing that they're doing for Celebration. Amazing.
Definitely amazing.
I mean, it gives a window for people who can't make it to still get to kind of play along.
Yeah.
And then for those of us that are there and we can't catch everything because you just can't, we get to go back and watch all the cool highlights,
Yeah.
So, yeah, still, every time I think I'm like, all right, starting to calm down from Celebration. Nope, here, I'm watching this now. Bring it right back up.
Yep.
Yeah, what a great time that was. So I recommend anyone who is a Star Wars fan, Anaheim 2020.
Right.
But yeah, kind of outside of, kind of inside that Celebration window, but kind of outside, Galaxy's Edge. Big opening days are coming.
Yep. It's going to be a mad rush.
It's going to be a mad rush, but maybe not as mad as we thought it might be. So it turns out Disney had to do this like reservation thing. So you, along with buying a park ticket, which, let's be real here. That's not a reservation.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thought this thing was supposed to get me in.
You buy a ticket, it's like, no, but you still got to reserve your spot.
Right.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
I thought I did that. I gave you $125.
Yeah.
So no, you see, with a valid park admission, you still have to get a reservation. And the reason that is, and it's starting to come out on social media now that people are getting their reservation times, that they are sending people in 4-hour blocks.
4-hour blocks?
Yes. So you will have 4 hours in the park from your reservation time.
Really?
It is as mad as it sounds.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't understand how this works because, if the park isn't closed, how are they going to kick you out?
I don't know. So it looks like they're doing some sort of honor system.
Wow.
I don't know how that's going to work out for them.
I got it. Okay, so they're going to put mini tasers in these wristbands that you have to wear. Your 4 hours is up, then you get tased, and they just haul you out. Maybe?
Well, you know what? I'll say this, okay? So I've been to some parties down in Disney, right?
Yeah.
And they do this stuff like confetti falls from like everywhere, right?
Right.
And it's crazy because the confetti stops falling.
Uh-huh.
And then you look down, and the ground's clean.
Yeah.
It's like, how the hell they do that?
Right.
So yeah, I guess they could probably keep up with that. You tease them, they fall over, you get them out.
That's it. Right. You could be like talking to some Star Wars fan, and all of a sudden, hey, where'd he go?
Yeah, time's up, your restraining bolt kicks in, and
yeah, exactly.
Just wheel you out of there.
I like it.
No, but it says honor system here. So, I mean, the only way for me that I see this working is if these 4-hour blocks that they're sending people in, that is restricted enough that you're going to be able to go in and do a lot in 4 hours. You know, do essentially everything.
So how do you, I don't know how you would get past the, waiting in
everybody
a queue.
Running for Smuggler's Run?
Yeah, exactly that. Because I think that's the first thing everybody's going to want to do. I mean,
yeah, because you get to pilot the frickin' Millennium Falcon.
Of course.
So yeah, I mean, that's Mad Dash number 1, right? Like, I mean, it's like so up here in our area we have Cedar Point, right?
Yes.
And every time Cedar Point comes out with a new coaster, the first thing everybody does the moment the park opens is they run.
Yep.
To get to that new ride. And then you get there and you're upset because me with a platinum pass, I'm already in line.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway.
Yeah.
No, they gotta do something. Like, you'd almost have to like assign time slots for everyone to do everything. Like, okay, yeah, you're in this 4-hour window, but on hour 2 is when you can report to Smuggler's Run to, get in line.
Okay, so I haven't seen anything like this yet, but I think that's a way that could work.
Well, I'm sure they're not doing it.
It'd be nice if they were, but I mean that would make the most sense. I mean, if they're going through the effort of, making people have reservations, then why not give them an itinerary for their 4 hours that they're going to be there? Because that would be the one way you could actually, funnel this amount of people to this attraction and then funnel another portion to this other attraction, and not having them all focus in one spot and, clog up the works basically.
So, I mean, maybe it'll work out anyway because, if they restrict it enough, you're really going to have Smuggler's Run and then all the places where you can buy stuff.
Right.
So it doesn't seem like there's going to be, I don't think there's too many of the attractions though, because Rise of the Resistance isn't going to be open yet.
Right.
So, which is mind boggling.
Yeah.
I mean, you spent all this time with this closed off area and you can't get this open at the same time. It's really kind of befuddling.
Yeah, a little bit.
So I don't know how they pull this off. But
yeah,
it's Disney magic, right?
Exactly.
They're relying on magic.
Yeah. All I just have these visions of, of you getting a tap on the shoulder. Joe, your 4 hours are up. Time to leave the cantina.
According to my iPad here, you have overstayed your welcome.
Right.
And I'd look at him and say, I'm not the one you were looking for.
Yeah, I'm not the guest you're looking for.
Yes. No. So honor system, good luck.
Yeah.
I wish you the best. But I think you could get this honor system thing to work if everybody can kind of experience at least close to all that the current offering of Galaxy's Edge is.
Yeah.
If you can't, I mean, if you have a 4-hour window and 3.5 hours you wait in line for Smuggler's Run, they're gonna say, okay, Joe, it's time for you to leave. And I'm gonna say, okay, you go to hell.
Right.
I spent $100 and some odd to get in here. I'm not gonna ride one ride and leave. I'm sorry. Okay, yeah, it's the Millennium Falcon, but is it worth, spending that kind of money? One, to travel
Yeah.
all the way out there.
Right.
2, to stay in a hotel. 3, to buy park admission, which is outrageous these days. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it.
Right.
You know, it's when it went over $100. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me.
Oh yeah.
Like the whole Disney thing is the family attraction.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you're going to tell me a family of 5, like it's just to get in a park one day is, $500.
That's what they're telling you. Yes, they are.
I mean, somehow it still works out for them.
Yeah, exactly.
They still pack them in. And I guess as long as it keeps packing them in, it'll keep going up.
Yeah, probably so. But here's my hope. I'm hoping that everyone in this initial run where they have to get their reservations and all, I hope they all leave wanting to see more of the park. I hope that
with an enthusiasm.
Yeah,
of course. To see more of the park pissed off because they didn't get to see it.
Well, I'm just hoping that I'm hoping that in a 4-hour window, it isn't the sort of thing where, we've walked around this place twice now. Okay, yeah, it's time to go. I'm hoping that it's expansive enough to where it's like, I did this and I did that, didn't make it to this other stuff and, can't wait to get back, That's what I'm hoping to hear from people. So,
and I guess what I'm saying isn't fair, just in the aspect that, okay, you pay for the park admission, which Galaxy's Edge is not its own park.
Right.
Okay, Galaxy's Edge is within a greater park.
Yeah, but that's where everyone's heading to.
Yeah. I mean, Star Wars.
Of course.
So, but like I said, I guess it's not fair to say, okay, you pay this money for this. Well, but in the same time, it is fair because the people who are signing up in this time period, they're spending that money for that.
Yeah.
They're not, they're not spending money to go on a Toy Story ride.
Exactly.
I mean, they're spending money to go to Galaxy's Edge.
Yep.
And you got to make sure that for that kind of money, people are getting the experience they deserve. Because they're paying for a service, they should get that service. Period.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more.
Because you get a 4-hour window and you go in there, that's like buying a movie ticket to go see episode 9.
Right.
And halfway through the movie, they say, okay, your time is up.
Yeah.
You'll have to come back in another block.
Right.
So I liken it to that.
Yeah, kind of.
I say, me personally, I say you just avoid all this mumbo jumbo that you're doing. You sell the park to capacity and you let it shake out the way it shakes out. You have no control over that. If, hey, look, it's a park. It's what happens.
Right.
I think people would be less disappointed with that than if they have a 4-hour window and they can't get to everything.
Yeah.
If they have a whole day that they paid for and
they just go in with the understanding that it's going to be busy.
Yes. Not with this added constraint.
Exactly.
And like I said, if they're limiting this enough to where everybody's going to get a shot, then fine. All's fair.
Yes.
But for some reason, I just don't feel like that's going to happen.
Yeah, me neither.
At least not for the first few days. So if you're in the first few days, good luck.
Right.
Wait till the bugs are worked out.
Yeah, that's my plan.
Yeah, that's why I'm waiting like a year.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'd love to be in there in the first wave, because, we have a long storied tradition as Star Wars fans to want to be the first ones in.
Yes.
We've stayed in line for ridiculous amounts of time to get in to see a movie that, we could go see on Sunday.
Yeah.
Much quicker.
Yeah.
But no, there's something about being in that first group with one that, like, you're in there with the hardcores.
That's right.
It's like a rock concert.
Yeah, it is.
So I understand it. It's a storied tradition, and I really hope it works out and keeps that whole. This is what we do as Star Wars fans, and this is the reward we get.
Right. Yeah, you don't want this to end up being a black eye on the whole fan community because it wasn't implemented well to begin with.
Right. So yeah, time will tell. We'll see how this all shakes out when more details come out, because this is just, people are getting their emails and this is what they're latching onto.
Right.
So as time passes, there may be the added fine print and things like that come out with it that actually give more details. But right now, everybody's attached to this 4-hour thing, which understandably,
exactly.
Like I said, you spend this kind of money, you get 4 hours. It's like, I don't know here.
I still like the wristband tasers. I don't know.
You walk in the park, it's like, all right, so here's your opening weekend complimentary this,
yeah,
and here's your restraining bolt.
Yeah, right.
Have fun. See you in 4 hours.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really hope it works out. That's all I can say, because the excitement around this is unbelievable. We've been waiting for a Star Wars theme park for a long time.
Yes.
This has been a tossed around idea for a really long time.
Yeah, like 30 years. Yeah.
So I really hope it's worth the wait, especially for those who are, braving the masses to be the first ones in. It's, typically there's a pretty good reward at the end of that for putting in the legwork, typically. And right. I hope that remains.
Absolutely.
But all right. I don't really know where to go next here, because I think our next couple topics are going to be kind of long-winded.
I would tend to agree. Why don't we take a little break and then we'll move into it?
All right, yeah, we can do that. Have something to add to the conversation, or you just want to let us know how we're doing? Email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best place to get in on the action. But if social media is a little more to your liking, @TheWarsAndMore on Twitter is always a good place to interact with us. And we're also on Facebook, facebook.com/TheWarsAndMore. And of course, your portal to this and everything else, The Wars and More, is thewarsandmore.com. All right, so this is like the sign of the times for right now, right? So we're entering into spoiler territory again. This is, I think, going to be, what we're dealing with for at least the next few months, right?
Right.
So everything from here on out, we're in spoiler territory. We're talking Clone Wars. We're talking Episode 9. So if you're looking to avoid anything whatsoever, I mean, trailers, whatever, this is the time to stop and come back later. See how right or wrong we were.
Right. That's always fun to do.
Yeah. Like, those guys are so far off.
Yeah.
But hey, that's fun of it, right?
That's right. That's the fun of it.
We get to make predictions that are way wrong. But yep, here on out we're spoiler territory, so that's your last warning. So Clone Wars, what a fun panel this was.
Yes, it was.
I mean, that cast is just great. I love that cast.
That cast is awesome. That cast, you can tell they love working with one another, and it's they say it themselves, but you can see it. They are like a big family. So,
it's funny because every cast says it.
Right.
Oh, we were so close. We got along so great. Blah, blah, blah. And like, a few months after this stuff wraps, you don't hear anything about like this person from this cast doing anything together ever again. But this cast is special.
Yeah.
Because they're always together. I mean, we haven't had Clone Wars in how long now? I mean, we're at least 5 years removed.
I was going to say, yeah, 2013, 14, somewhere around there.
So, and in that time, how many times have you seen this cast together? I mean, they're just...
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
They say they're close, and they are close.
Absolutely.
So, that's what makes this all the more fun every time they're together doing these panels and things like that. When they talk about this stuff, it's genuine.
Totally.
And I'll tell you what, so we'll do our standard, Wars and More, this is how we do things, and we'll listen to the audio for this trailer for the Clone Wars, because and this one is really good for that, because I think the audio is spectacular. Yeah,
it's pretty good. There's a couple spots that go without a whole bunch of dialogue, but there's a couple spots in there that make it worthwhile for sure.
Oh, absolutely. So, yeah, let's go ahead and take a listen.
I'm not coming back.
You are making a mistake.
Maybe. But I have to sort this out on my own. Without the Council. And without you. Where exactly are you from? I used to live in the upper levels of Coruscant. You're probably better off down here. With the Jedi running around, starting wars.
I've watched so many of my brothers fall during this war. Fives, Echo, Heavy.
Master Yoda, your thoughts on how to win the war?
No longer certain that one ever does win a war. I am.
You'll never see any Jedi around here. It's not safe down here. Things could have gotten messy for you. That's why I've got my ship.
What squad are you taking in? Experimental Unit Clone Force 99.
The cavalry has arrived! Company, attention!
Glad to have you back, Commander.
Good as new. Maybe a little better. I was hoping for Kenobi. Why are you here?
Man. So we've talked about the Clone Wars many times.
Yes.
Just just about how good it was. I mean, we never really dove into it. I think we dove into the Mortis arc at one time.
Primarily, yeah.
But wow, that show's so good. And it looks like they're going to keep that head of steam they had because the show kept getting better.
Right.
And by the last couple seasons, it was really gaining steam. And this is why it got the following that it did. Because you can't cut a show off in its height like that and expect people not to cry out and say, wait, what are you doing?
Yeah, exactly.
That show was not even at its peak yet, but it was some of the best Star Wars that's ever been made.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it was definitely ramping up, especially towards the end when it got shut down. I mean, it was delving deeper into the Force, the animation technologies were getting better, and the writing was getting really good. I mean, I was, man. You know. So like, I love a lot of the stuff we've gotten since the Disney acquisition, right? Like, yeah.
I loved Rebels.
Sure.
You know, Rogue One, Solo, you know, Force Awakens, Last Jedi. I really enjoyed the current Star Wars we've got. But I will say, none of that carried the momentum that Clone Wars had.
Right.
Clone Wars was on such, like, it had such heavy momentum that to cut it off when they cut it off was devastating.
Yeah.
To say the least.
Yeah.
I mean, this show was so, like you said, the writing, the animation, everything was so great at its end. And it was, you could tell it wasn't done.
Well, that's absolutely for certain. Even at the time, you know, Filoni was saying that, you know, there's still more Clone Wars that, you know, could have been told, but, you know, it's just not in the cards. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we got those story reels, things like that.
Right.
And you watch those story reels, it's like, why isn't this a full episode?
Exactly.
I mean, it's so good. Why aren't we getting a full animation and all that? And you understand, right? You know, it's a new company taking over. You know, especially when you're talking, it's Disney versus a property that was run on Cartoon Network.
Right.
So you understand to a degree. But like I said, the momentum they had, it's crazy to stop that.
Yeah. I think part of it too was, you know, strictly business. You know, in typical George Lucas fashion, you know, for an animated show, it had to be a very expensive animated show. You know, when George does something, he does it all the way. So, you know, Disney, you know, let's just be honest about it. They're a big corporation with, you know, shareholders and, you know, something that's costing as much as Clone Wars, I'm sure did, probably just wasn't in the cards to just keep going, you know, along with the distribution rights quandary they had, right, with Cartoon Network and all. So,
yeah, I mean, when you have a big corporation like Disney, the bean counters have a lot more say than, you know, than they do in a situation where George Lucas, even, you know, with as big as Lucasfilm was,
yeah, he had the final say on every decision.
Yeah, and so the bean counters didn't have as much pull in, really, even as big as it was still an independent operation.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Lucasfilm was an independent film studio, and it just, George Lucas had to say.
Yep, totally.
So his say was, I don't care how much it costs. This is a story I want to tell.
Right.
And that's kind of that separation you get where the creator of a story kind of steps away.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, I mean, not to get too far into the business end of things, because that's not our forte.
Right, exactly. But with this trailer, we get to see some really cool stuff. What we're going to be seeing is 12 episodes for season 7, and it looks to be like 3 story arcs. One being the Bad Batch arc. That's Clone Force 99.
Oh, it looks good, don't it?
It does look good. It's, it's a group of clones that have been genetically modified, enhanced, if you will. So,
and they bring a whole new level of badassery.
Exactly. So, in the panel, they did play a clip, which was way more action than dialogue, so not very clippable for us, but it did look awesome. And it looked like this group knew how to work together. And, they had their own way of going about doing things, it seems.
Well, yeah. And so you look at that and you see Rex kind of going, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
Rex.
It's Rex.
Yeah, he's seen it all. But
this is the guy who worked side by side with Anakin Skywalker. And Anakin Skywalker was really the unorthodox,
loose
definition.
Cannon. Yeah. Yeah.
And he's looking at this batch of clones going, whoa.
Exactly.
You're going to do what? So, yeah, that's cool. But another thing I got to say is and I don't want to be the downer here, but I'm going to be a little bit. Man, they're hitting us in the face with this 1313 thing, aren't they?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
talk about so as a gamer, 1313 was one of the most anticipated games. I wanted it.
Yep.
Every Star Wars fan I know that plays games wanted this game. And we never got it. Canceled project.
Right.
But now we just keep getting hit in the face with 1313 and these, shows and things like that. It kind of sucks.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks because we just keep thinking about what could have been.
Yeah, it's true. Hopefully, though, it gives us a little taste of what we, might have seen, and I don't know. I guess for me, I'm not going to dwell on the loss of the game so much as, whatever adventures Ahsoka has on level 1313 on Coruscant.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a good way to smooth it over. It's it's Ahsoka,
right?
Okay, you found a weak point. Because we all love Ahsoka, and I don't think we can say that without saying who saw that coming. We talk about the growth of the show, the introduction of Ahsoka versus where Ahsoka is at the end of the show.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah, totally. So, the third arc they're talking about is this one, I guess for me, and I guess probably for everybody. Is
pick right?
Huh?
Pick me.
Yeah. It's the big one. It's the Siege of Mandalore. So yeah. We've heard a lot about this. It's this is where I think we're gonna lead right up to episode 3. And
which, so for any Rebels fans, the Siege of Mandalore was kind of alluded to.
Yes, it was.
So to finally get to see that come to fruition, with when you see the Mandalorians and their situation come the time of Rebels, You kind of wonder how they got there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's during the panel, Sam Witwer and Ashley Eckstein were kind of talking about that a little bit. How they were, performing this dialogue, talking about the Siege of Mandalore, but they're like, "Hey, Dave, what's going on with the Siege of Mandalore?" He's like, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you. So, when they got to find out, they were excited. So, which was pretty
the
cool.
way Sam did that was absolutely hilarious.
Oh yeah,
Sam was doing his Dave impression.
Yeah.
The thing about the Siege of Mandalore is, I know you don't get to know.
Right. So, did pull a few clips from the panel here. So, primarily on that final arc. But let's check out what they have to say themselves here on that subject.
Now, Sam mentioned earlier something about the Siege of Mandalore.
Yeah.
Anything you can tell us?
It's a big deal. It's the story I've thought most about probably over the last decade. And how does that all work? And how can we produce it and make it happen? It's a very challenging episode, very large scale, but the arc of it is probably the most important from several standpoints. One of the most challenging things about Clone Wars is how it's integrated with the other films. It's between 2 and 3, and I have to adhere to a lot of continuity between those things. And when you get towards the end, I mean, that gap gets narrower and narrower. George experienced this too, making Revenge of the Sith, and he had to link up much more closely with what he was doing in A New Hope. And so a lot of the things that are in the story are things that were long planned. Some things changed because of things that had happened in Rebels, but always, I think always frankly for the better. Some things that exist in the story are things that he and I had discussed, George, before, he sold the company and we moved on. So it's been very important to me to keep the DNA of what we were doing alive in this whole thing, that it feel authentic to Clone Wars. And this was a very big challenge as an arc, but I knew with the talent I have and the crew that we could do it. So it's been a kind of something fulfilled that I never got to do. And I feel really good about this one in particular.
So that
Sold.
is awesome to hear. Yeah. He feels really good about this one in particular. And this is the one I think everyone's really waiting for. So that is very encouraging.
Yeah, so when they announced the return of the Clone Wars, this was like all the buzz.
Yes.
Was the Siege of Mandalore.
Yes. Especially with the poster that they had, right?
Yes.
The clone troopers with the Ahsoka's markings on them, on the helmets.
Yeah, that was a story that was alluded to, back after the end of Clone Wars.
Right.
It was talked about this portion of the 501st that broke off.
Yep.
To follow Ahsoka.
Yep.
And to get to see that is just exciting. I can't even put into words how excited I am for this arc. And I know that's going to be what closes it out. That's going to be the last bit we see.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And Dave was talking about how, he had to make sure he had everything right, moving, pretty much, like you said, closer and closer to episode 3. So, and it had to be kind of, how do I put it? I don't want to say hard, maybe hard. I don't know. But, he's moved from Clone Wars since they put put it on hiatus and moved on to other projects. And now he's moving back to it. That can be tough too. So,
Well, yeah, I mean, especially with his plate.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's working on, he worked on Rebels.
Yeah.
And then he worked on Resistance. and then now the Mandalorian. So he's a busy guy.
That's for sure.
So to take a break from one story, do a bunch of other stories, and then come back, that can't be easy. But in the same respect, he talks about that particular arc being something he's worked on for a decade.
Yes. Yeah. He's put a lot of thought into it.
Yeah,
and
this is something that never left his mind.
Exactly.
And I bet that's not the hard part. The hard part's coming in back, back to that animation style, back to that, the crews disperse when you're done.
Yep.
So trying to get a crew back together that knows what they're doing with this stuff it's probably not easy.
Exactly.
But yeah, this arc, I cannot wait for this arc. I'll say that again and again.
I got a feeling this is going to be the one, right? This is the one that's going to tie the Clone Wars right to Revenge of the Sith. So,
well, that's actually the kind of rumored, like Anakin and Obi-Wan are pulled away from this.
That's, as I understand it, yeah.
Like, this is supposed to run right up to the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Right.
So Anakin and Obi-Wan are supposed to be pulled away because the Chancellor's been abducted.
Exactly.
And we're supposed to see that, like, that split where Ahsoka's left to deal with this and Anakin and Obi-Wan are gone.
Right. And in the trailer, what do we hear Maul say?
I was hoping for Kenobi.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah.
To see, like, to hear that, like, when I first heard that, I'm like, wait. Hold the phone. Ahsoka's gonna fight Maul?
Oh, yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. So, speaking of Maul, Sam had a few things to say about Maul, and this is we don't get too deep into anything spoilery, but I think Dave might have had a different opinion on that. So let's check this out and see how he reacts. It's funny.
Yeah, when I got the script for this stuff and finally could read what the Siege of Mandalore was all about, I was shocked. And I mean shocked. I don't mean like, you guys are going to really like it. No, I mean like I was shocked. I'm glad I'm sitting down. Are you sitting down? Okay. This is some of the honestly, it's my favorite stuff that we've ever done as the character. And Dave wrote it personally. So, what was so fascinating to me about picking up with this character, as Ashley was saying, you go back to the earlier version of the character. He's not crazy old Grandpa Maul from Rebels. He's the younger guy. But and Freddie Prinze Jr. once likened Maul to Sisyphus, the guy who was cursed for eternity to roll a big boulder up a hill, and right as he's about to get it up the hill, it falls back down the hill, and he's got to start all over again for eternity. Maul has been in this cycle where he's been obsessed with the same things, he's wanted the same things, and he hasn't been able to think or see his way out of this horrible, evil cycle that he's found himself in. And what I found most interesting about this arc is for a second, he actually tries to think his way out of it. He actually tries something different that he's never tried before or since, and we see how that goes.
Wow, you're right on the edge there, Sam. You're right on the edge there. Right on. Did you see? He went right up to the edge. Interesting.
That is hilarious.
So this will be that middle piece that we don't have for Maul.
Yes, absolutely.
We got we got the Rebels, conclusion,
Right.
and we've gotten the Clone Wars reintroduction,
Yep.
and that middle piece has been missing.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of people were kind of hoping for that in like a Solo too.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be I was going to say this is going to be a part of that middle piece.
Right.
It's not going to be the entire middle piece, but it's going to explain a lot. Especially if you've watched Rebels, a lot of what went on in there, what they talked about, this will have a lot to do with that. So,
Right. And this is going to be that piece right before what you see in Solo.
Exactly.
So yeah, there's a lot of tiptoeing to do here. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And it's a really interesting thought to think about how this is going to play out, because we know at least where Ahsoka's going through Rebels.
Right.
We know at least Maul, we know where he's at least through Rebels.
Right.
So, yeah, there's some tiptoeing to do here, because this confrontation can't be catastrophic for either character.
Exactly.
But
it's a good point.
But we know it has to have some meaning because it's these two characters.
Yes.
So where that fine line is, that's anyone's guess. I personally can't think of how you make this significant, yet not, like I said, catastrophic for either character.
Well,
I mean, obviously, it's got to have, and that's the other thing, it's got to have an impact for both of these characters.
Yeah.
So otherwise, why do it?
Right.
And it's not, and Dave Filoni talked about, George and how George did things. And, I think we actually have a clip about how he learned from George.
Yeah.
So you think about how George did things. Nothing just happened just to happen.
Exactly.
He didn't put two main characters together to do a scene just for the sake of doing that. It had to have some sort of repercussion on the greater story.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a very curious interaction, because it's like, how do you make this profound in the Star Wars saga, yet not have any, like I said, I'll use the word again, catastrophic results on either character?
Well, I think, there's a lot of circumstances that went on in the Clone Wars where I think Dave did a pretty good job with that. I mean, there was right from the get-go, because of a couple lines of dialogue, everyone was watching real close to make sure, Anakin didn't see Grievous during the Clone Wars, that sort of thing. And Dave was pretty good with that kind of stuff. So even though all that was going on,
that was great too, because they go right by each other.
Yeah. But it's he's, as far as story goes, I think he's done that really well. I did want to touch on this more of a technical aspect of what's going to be happening, right? Because this is probably, when it comes to Darth Maul, one of the coolest things that I've heard in a long time. I was so thrilled when, we had the combination of, Ray Park, the man himself, who played Darth Maul in Episode 1, playing him in Solo. That was awesome. And then Sam doing the voice, it blew me away. So let's check out what they have to say about Clone Wars here.
I'm trying to find ways to make the show better, to give you guys more than you've ever had before. And so one of the things I thought would be great is like I need to have, and I wanted to have, as much as the Obi-Wan versus Maul fight was brief, I wanted this fight to be big. I wanted this to be an epic lightsaber fight. I haven't done too many of those in Clone Wars of the years, and so this one had to be like I felt among the best, if not the best we did. So the best way to do that, to have a great lightsaber fight, is go talk to somebody that has done lightsaber fighting. And so I went, and I know Ray Park from over the years, and I said, Ray, wouldn't it be great if, you know, now that I've experienced doing more live action stuff, why don't we just suit you up in a mocap suit and have you be Darth Maul again? So when you see Maul fighting, it's going to be really Maul fighting. And my animation lead and I were watching it. As well as they've done everything in the past when Maul has done lightsaber fighting, there's just something unique about the way Rey moves. It's a skill, it's an art, it's truly him. And I was just thrilled that we could bring that and have you, the voice and the body again together. Like, it was great. It was a great moment watching him perform it.
That is amazing.
I cannot think of a better treat.
No, exactly. So
than to have Ray Park come in and actually do the motions for Maul.
Exactly. And this is part of what we were talking about with the advancements in animation technology. Oh my gosh, you're going to have the guy who brought this character to life in episode 1, and everybody just went nuts over this character.
Yeah, Austin Hines.
And he's going to play him again in the Clone Wars animation. It's like, yeah, blew me away when I heard that. So,
well, the other thing I think of is like everything that Star Wars is like. Star Wars always seems to be on the leading edge of stuff.
Absolutely. Yes. This is something George was really good at.
Yeah. And we talk about Dave Filoni being like the guy who was passed the torch.
Yes.
How much mocap has been done for animation?
Yeah.
I'm curious about that. I didn't really dive into this.
I'm not sure. We know about it being done for live action, you know, which, you know, the CG involved is kind of an animation.
And I'm drawing a line there because there's been tons of mocap done for CG characters in various films.
Yes.
But this is different than doing mocap for the live action Lion King that's coming out or something.
Right.
That's a terrible example. Planet of the Apes.
Right. Yes. Caesar. Yes.
Okay. So the mocap done for Planet of the Apes, it's tons of CG.
Yep.
Right. So you do motion capture to do this, but how much has been done for a show like Clone Wars? I mean, this is animation. This is your Saturday morning cartoon type show, right?
Yeah. I don't know that I can say it's been done at all. I've not ever heard of it being done for Clone Wars. And to be honest about it, I've never heard of it being done for any animation.
Yeah, I mean, definitely not on the scale of having Ray Park come in and do Darth Maul.
Exactly.
I mean, there's a difference between bringing someone in to walk a certain way,
yeah,
for animation versus having Ray Park come in to do Darth Maul. I mean,
yes, exactly.
It's got to be a whole new level.
It sounds like it is, and it's got me excited to see what we're going to see. That's for sure.
I mean, and the way they talk about it, and it's been talked about, like it's unlike anything you've ever seen, is what they say.
Yeah.
I mean, I would tend to believe them.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, I gotta say, it's this kind of thinking and this kind of like I guess thinking outside the box and this type of imagination that it seems to me like Dave Filoni has, that you just don't find it in just anybody, right? It takes a special kind of person to direct things in this manner. And
well, I mean, we talked about this last week.
Yeah,
directing in this type of manner. Dave Filoni's foresight to, I know some stormtroopers.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And bring in the 501st.
Exactly. That's another perfect example. It's a perfect example because I don't know who else would do that. You know what I mean? And what other franchise
I venture
would
to
do
say
that?
George Lucas wouldn't do that. Like
Exactly.
Dave Filoni is another breed.
Yeah. Yes, but along the same lines.
Yes.
You're right, because you could say the same thing about George Lucas in 1976 when he was making this movie, right? He wants a certain shot of a ship, and they're building miniatures and these I forget what they're called, the motion cameras and stuff that get the shot, and there's no special effects company to do that. Okay, I'll make a special effects company. You know what I'm saying? That sort of thing. So,
did he know he was making the special effects?
Exactly. But that's exactly the sort of thinking outside the box I'm talking about. If there's any doubt, Dave's got it. So that's for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely instilled that ingenuity that, okay, this hasn't been done. What can we do to make it happen?
Uh-huh.
I mean, I think maybe a little bit different approach, because I saw the Phantom Menace panel, right?
Yep.
And they talked, Doug Chang was explicit in saying that, George would come up with these ideas. It would be like, well, no one's ever done that. Oh, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So, but that's the kind of like challenging your crew to, one, I have faith in you.
Right.
Two, challenging them to do something that's never been done.
Right. Exactly.
So yeah, and mocap for animation, doing something like a Darth Maul lightsaber battle.
Uh-huh.
I mean, so I wonder too, like, so they had to mocap Darth Maul for this. Now, did they do pure animation on the other side for Ahsoka, or was there someone that came in to do mocap for Ahsoka?
They didn't mention that.
I'm curious about that, and maybe it's something. Well, it's obviously something we'll get answered eventually,
right?
But if you're doing mocap for one, I worry that the animation might look a little, what's the word, subpar when compared. So animation for the character that's not being mocap versus the one that is.
I would imagine that if it's going to be a fight scene like that, there would probably be somebody else.
A second mocap.
Yeah, for sure. So
it would make the most sense.
It would.
But I don't put anything past these people. So, oh yeah, we can mocap Ray Park, and then with that data do this, and this.
But, right. But
that's just cool.
It is just cool. And it's amazing because Dave Filoni's the type of guy, right? He's very, he knows Star Wars inside and out. He is very inventive, thinks outside the box. He's awesome storyteller, and he's very humble about it. So this next clip is just very interesting, and I loved what he had to say and how he took it. And it was I don't know, just check it out.
And why do you think it is that Clone Wars resonates with the fans in the way it does? I mean, any of you can comment.
Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. He is brilliant.
Why?
No, I'm saying Dave Filoni.
Saying Dave
Oh,
the reason.
no. I mean, no. No. Yes. Thank you, but look, I appreciate that. I do. I appreciate that. It's very good. Thank you. But in reality, the reason why it works is because I was taught by the master. That's why it works. I was taught by George. I had to sit with him on a regular basis, and he explained these stories to me, and I listened. And for any young person wanting to be in film or any walk of life, when you meet somebody that is more experienced, that can be a mentor, you should listen. You don't need to impress them by trying to say, oh, I already know how to do that. That's not impressive. Listening is impressive. And that was one of the number one skills that I had, the ability to listen.
So that just blows me away how humble he is and how much he's not looking for credit where he deserves it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the main point right there, is where he deserves it, because he's being humble.
Yeah.
But in that comment, he's kind of selling himself short, because yes, did he learn from the master, and did he develop his technique and in storytelling and all that from George Lucas? Yes. But Dave Filoni's take on all of this is unique to Dave Filoni.
Sure.
And yeah, does it have tons of George Lucas flowing through it? Yes.
Yes.
But we know when we're getting a Dave Filoni story.
I would say this is true. And you mean as opposed to George Lucas' story, right?
I mean, as opposed to really anybody.
Okay, yeah.
In Star Wars storytelling. Like, when it's a Dave Filoni story.
Yes.
It just stands out.
And in a good way.
Yes.
That's for sure.
In a extraordinary way.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anybody out there, with the exception of George Lucas, who gets Star Wars in the way Dave Filoni does.
Exactly.
And there are tons of people that spend, all waking hours thinking about Star Wars.
Yeah.
So the whole time they're awake, they're thinking about Star Wars. But the thing is, Dave Filoni's thinking about it when he's sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like,
as well as awake. Yeah. I get
it's
it.
just, that's the level we're talking about here.
Yeah.
And I think Ahsoka, you look at the growth of Ahsoka.
Yep.
I think that is very, very much telling of how much Dave gets Star Wars.
Yeah, it's a testament to how much he
because
understands
George
it.
got the ball rolling.
Yep.
And George created this character knowing where this character was headed, but Dave fleshed it out.
Right. And he got a lot of, Dave is informed on the whole Star Wars universe from George himself. And he said it right there. His greatest ability is to be able to listen. And, he's not walking into Star Wars as a creator looking to, leave his mark on the franchise. It's, how can I make the stories the best they can be? And
right.
That's what I think so many people see in Dave Filoni. That's what I see in Dave Filoni, and that's, whether he wants to admit it or not, that's that's what I want to see moving forward in Star Wars.
So here's what I think is a good example of Dave Filoni learning at the feet of the master, carrying that torch, right?
Yep.
So from the Clone Wars to Rebels, okay, and we're talking about Ahsoka here,
Right.
okay. At the end, in season 1, at the end, when Ahsoka comes walking down, comes descending that ladder, and she speaks for the first time, before you even see her on screen,
Yeah.
we're jumping out of our seat going, it's Ahsoka.
Yes.
Okay. That is the Dave Filoni and George Lucas influence.
Yes.
Okay. Now, fast forward in Rebels. Okay, you jumped out of your seat at the introduction of a character.
Yep.
A beloved character. And then in the same show, in the same series, you did it again after you thought she was gone.
Yeah.
They bring her back again, and once again, you're jumping out of your seat, cheering, it's Ahsoka.
Yep.
One was Dave Filoni with George Lucas. The other one was Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
Because in the beginning of that series, it was the George Lucas, Dave Filoni influence that made you love that character. At the end of that series, it was Dave Filoni's addition to the character that made you love her even more.
Exactly.
To be able to jump out of your seat cheering for a character twice in the same series is just
it's amazing.
Amazing.
Speaking of the end of the series, I think there's a ton of people who would be on board with, we all know Dave has dipped his toe into live action now, right?
Hmm?
With The Mandalorian. So, I think we need to cast Ashley Eckstein as Ahsoka, and let's make this live action Ahsoka and Sabine go find Ezra thing. That would be
something
awesome. Because I don't know if you saw, because I saw on a stream, the Star Wars show stream, I think, Ashley Eckstein was presented with the Ahsoka lightsabers that are going to be available at Galaxy's Edge. And she did the Ahsoka pose, and oh my gosh, it was amazing. I think, if she was up for it, I think it would be awesome.
I think we all saw that. We all saw that, and the first 2 words that went through our mind was, do it.
Yeah. Yes.
Make this show,
yes,
please.
Exactly.
I mean, even if you don't do a live action film, you have Disney Plus coming.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, we
Ahsoka,
need like a
live action series. Make it happen.
10 episode series. That'd be perfect.
I mean, yeah. If you have any doubt on whether Star Wars fans at this point love Ahsoka, I mean, go to Celebration.
Yeah.
There's Ahsoka stuff literally everywhere. There is as much Ahsoka cosplays, just merchandise, everything. And the merchandise is flying off the shelf. They can't keep it. Be like me. Try to book an Ashley Eckstein photo op.
Yeah.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It went so fast. Do it.
Absolutely.
It is time for an Ahsoka. I'm up for an Ahsoka movie. I don't know about Ahsoka, a Star Wars story. Anybody? Like, let's do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. And that's a testament to this series we're talking about right now.
Exactly. And Dave Filoni.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that took a character that, and we all remember this. When you watch the Clone Wars movie,
right?
You cannot tell me you go into that movie going, that character is going to be great.
Exactly. I remember, leaving the theater from seeing the Clone Wars movie, thinking to myself, that was good. I liked it. It was good, but I'm not sure how that's going to go.
Yeah, what's with this snotty brat?
Right.
Saying Sky Guy and
Yeah.
or Tui.
But over the course of the Clone Wars, I have to say everybody's grown to love Ahsoka. So there's just no denying that.
No. It's just I mean, the growth of that character. One, it's more growth than we've seen in any character in Star Wars. And I think that's what makes it so intriguing.
You have a really good point there. Because
like Luke kind of had the same thing going on. Right?
Yeah.
You know, in the beginning of A New Hope, Luke kind of had the same thing going on, but we went through that really quickly. Right? You know, you went from I was gonna go to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters to like he's like, okay, telling Han like, oh, I guess that's what you're best at, thinking about yourself,
Right.
So he goes from that in one film. Ahsoka, we got to see this growth over years, many episodes.
Yeah.
And we really got to see more growth out of Ahsoka than we ever did out of literally any character in Star Wars, even Anakin to Vader.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you. I don't want to sound like I am like we're lessening like Luke's growth or anything like that.
Not even a little bit.
Because I do believe there's like a lot of growth in the original trilogy there.
Yeah, I should expand on that and just say it's been a longer journey with Ahsoka.
Yes.
And a more in-depth journey.
Yes. Yes, we get to see her growth as a character on a more microscopic level.
We got to roll our eyes at Ahsoka for much longer.
Yeah. Yeah,
and
true.
then as she started to grow, it was like, oh wow, this is a very formidable character in our beloved story, right? Like,
yep.
So I think that's where that character's strength comes from, is we've gotten to see so much of that growth.
Absolutely.
Well, we talked about doing a lot more than we got to do.
Yeah.
So more episode 9 stuff coming next week, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's about all we're going to be able to fit into this week's show. So if you have anything to add to the conversation, any comments on points we've made, you can always email us, show@thewarsandmore.com. That's the best way to get a hold of us. But we're also on social media, at The Wars and More on Twitter, facebook.com/thewarsandmore. And of course, you can find all of that and all the ways to find the show over at thewarsandmore.com. Any final thoughts this week, Doug?
No, I think that about covers it.
All right. We'll talk next week.